An entire world is ready
for you to start your career teaching the path to wellness.
Mastering the science of mindfulness.
And the art of coaching.
To help clients achieve mental, emotional, and physical betterment of life.
Through movement,
nutrition,
recovery, and regeneration.
Because impacting one person impacts a family.
Impacting a family impacts a community.
And impacting a community impacts the world.
Become an NASM certified wellness coach.
You're listening to the NASM-CPT Podcast with Richey, winner of the Share Care Emmy Award for Social Storytelling and the official podcast of the National Academy of Sports Medicine.
Hey y'all, and welcome to the NASM-CPT Podcast. My name is Richey, and today I want to talk. I don't know if you've noticed this or not. I don't know if you noticed. I've noticed that inflation is taking place right now. Inflation. Prices are going up. There's a lot of things at play in the world right now, and that is having a significant effect on bacon. It is having significant effect on shoes. It is having significant effect on whether or not I can get gym equipment in here. It took me 2 months after Christmas for my daughter to get her guitar. There's a lot of things happening. But now that begs the question, now that all the prices are going up and I would really like to get more money since everything else costs more money, the question is, should I raise my rates? Should I raise how much other people are paying? Well, let's kind of explore a few things here. One is that throughout the years that I've been in the gym business, and I've been in it for a little over 20 years at this point, since I started, gyms have raised their rates every year on personal training and on memberships. Every year they go up and they send out a letter and they say, for the price of inflation is at 3.5% or whatever it is, and whatever statement they make. And then that is their reason. Their prices are going up. Inflation is going up. We're just keeping up with inflation. Okay. So that's happened annually every year since I've been in the fitness industry, which is why when I started out, I think in New York City, training sessions, I think were $70 at the gym I was working at for a lower tier, a tier 1 trainer. And then it just kept going up and going up. And now tier 1 trainers at most gyms in New York City are well over $100. But inflation is part of the economy right now. And I'll also say that I've been through something similar. And some of you are with me here that have been in the fitness industry in that recession of 2008. 2008, there was a significant recession. And that recession, which was the real estate bubble. And when that bubble burst, it was painful for many people. We had some people that were living in the streets. But we also had some people that were not adversely affected at all. And in my entire roster of clients that I had, there was one person that stopped training due to the impact of the economy. And there was a caveat that goes along with that. And it was that I was training at the most expensive real estate building in the country at the time. I think there were 14 billionaires that lived in that one building in New York City. It was a big deal. It was a big deal. So many of these people were above any of the financial woes or concerns that the normal average person would be concerned about. But I will say this, to the benefit of the company that I worked for, is that they did not raise rates that year because it did seem a bit tone deaf to raise rates during the recession that was taking place, even for people who were living above with the recession. They were recession proof. And yet things are a little different this time around. I think you know that because as we are not technically in a recession yet, we are not technically there. Inflation is here technically, apparently. Obviously, as you are going to the gas pump and paying at almost double what you were paying a year ago in many instances, things are different because everyone is raising their rates, which leads us back to the question, should I raise my rates? And I think this is my favorite answer that I like to give, and it is the least favorite answer that anybody wants to hear. And it is, can you answer it? It starts with the D. It depends. It just depends. It depends. So I'm going to give you some things to think about. And I think the number one thing that many of you are going to think about, because when I was a younger trainer, I thought about this often when it came to raising rates. And the question is, will I lose my clients if I raise my rates? And the first answer I can give you out of a list of several things that I want to talk about, the first answer is probably not. Probably not. I worked at a sports club that had a tier system, and several of them through my training career at corporate gyms, and each one of them raised prices. Once you went from one tier to the next tier, and I was scared to even go up a tier because that would raise the price $10 per session, and would that cause me to lose my clients? And I really got nervous about that. And here's the answer. It did not. It did not. I did not lose any clients anytime I went from one tier to the next tier. Well, again, let's just be honest here. This is New York City pricing, right? So the $10 jump's pretty hefty. But the second thing I want to say, and we're just going to use $100 per session because it makes the math easier for me. And I went to school for gym, so we're going to make math easy, okay? Okay, here we go. Sessions, let's say it's $100 per session. You're trying to keep up with inflation, right? So you're going to raise your rates with the price of inflation. So you could say inflation is 5%. So you're going to raise your price to $105. All right. Most people are not going to flinch if you go from $100 to $105. Most people are not going to flinch. However, I've known people, this is a person who lived in that super rich building I was talking about, and he and his wife trained a couple times a week, and they were paying a lot of money for training sessions. And yet when the New York Times raised their price, he called and threatened to cancel. He was very upset. And so he got his New York Times subscription decreased. His annual subscription to the New York Times was far less than one training session with me. So some people want to bicker. And when he told me the story, it was almost like a sense of pride that he was able to talk them down. And that's just some people's MO. They like to haggle. They like to do, there's something about that they are into. Most people aren't going to flinch. They're not going to say anything. But what if I have clients that are resistant to that? What if they are resistant to that raise? The raise in price, the raise. And you can say, I want to raise inflation. The price of inflation is 2.5%. So you go $102.50, which is weird if they're paying cash, but most times people are paying electronically now. So $2.50. So with the math, $102.50. That's not any different to type into an electronic payment app than it is. Otherwise, pulling out money and making sure that you do $102.50 is weird. So you might want to raise it $103. But what if they are resistant? Well, I'm going to tell you what. Here's my script that you are welcome to follow. And so I'm going to read that. I wrote this out, but this is kind of what I say to people. It says, I want to let you know that I'm going to be raising my prices or my rates next month, or I'm going to be raising them next quarter, or I'm going to be raising them, whatever. Give them a date, a specific date. This is when the prices are going to raise, and they are going to go to whatever you decide. They're going to go, in this instance that we're talking about, from $100 to $105 per session. You are welcome. That's what I do. You're welcome to buy as many sessions as you want right now at this rate so that you can use those sessions going forward. So If it's a $5 increase or a $10 increase or a $50 increase, which means you're likely to lose clients for sure at that point. But if that doesn't work for you, please let me know and let's see if we can work something out. That's it. That's it. So then I put it on them. I put it on them to have the conversation with me. If that doesn't make you comfortable, you let me know. We can work something out. I can work something out with you, but I need to raise my prices. This is what's going to be happening. We can talk about it. We can talk it out. All right. I'm going to go from now the concern, the fear of will I lose clients? The next thing is, will my rate increase benefit me if I lose a client? Well, it's kind of tricky too. So let's stick with the $100 and we're going to raise $5 per session. That's $105. So that $5 raise is equal to 20 sessions, right? So I do 20 sessions at the extra $5. That means that I have gotten one extra session. So if I lose a client that pays $100, then the $5 increase, I'd need 20 sessions to make up for the one lost client. Is it worth it? Well, first of all, are you going to lose a client? I'm going to say this: do your best to never lose a client. Do your best to never lose a client. If you want that client, you want to work for that client, you want to help that client. We are working for the people to help them reach goals. And if we have that connection and that drive and that $5 increase is a breaking point for them, don't. But put it back in their court and say, what can we do? Can we even do a $1 raise? Because even a $1 raise after we've worked together for however long, that would just show me that you do. Because I'm assuming that annually you're getting a pay rate increase, that, if you got a mortgage, then you're locked into that mortgage. And yet here I am paying my rent. My rent's definitely going up, right? So there are a lot of things that kind of work around that, where you can say, I want you to work with me, and I want to see that you're willing to increase because I'm becoming more educated. I'm getting better at my job. I'm providing excellent service. So can we work something out, right? But you can also do this. You can grandfather your current clients into a rate. And then any new clients that come on board, they just pay a different rate. You have your grandfathered in clients, and you have all of your new clients at this point. When you do the rate shift, that those people are paying new and elevated rates. And that's fine. But you have to feel like this is something that you're more comfortable with. You might have some people that go, oh, well, so-and-so charges this much, so I'm thinking about going with them. All right. So at this point, it's about showing your value. And I've mentioned before and in previous episodes, showing your value, if almost any price is worth it, as long as the value is worth it. So what additional are you doing? What are you doing that's making you so valuable? And you have to present that. That has to be seen. It has to be felt. It has to be tasted. Like, people feel a connection with you. So you can connect with people. It's not the smartest person in the room that's able to charge the most, that's able to raise their prices unflinchingly. It is the one that really has connected with people, where people will say, I'd rather pay an extra $15 a session twice a week than to go and work with somebody else and have somebody else figure out who I am and what my needs are and what my goals are and understand me the way that you understand me. And again, sometimes people paying that extra $20 to $30 a week, that's the same price you spend on pizza on the weekends. And I guarantee you, if I can take away your pizza money, you might be better off for it too. Just kidding. But my point is, should we raise rates? And the answer ultimately is that it does depend. It is up to you. And the worst case scenario, just raise rates on the clients that you don't like. And if they fall off, maybe it's not going to affect you too much. Think about it. Think about what makes sense for you. Last question. You're probably thinking, Rick, are you raising your rates? It's a good question. No, I'm currently not planning on raising my rates. I'm not planning on raising my rates. I'm not planning on currently raising my rates for my personal training clients. I have gym facilities where trainers rent from me, and I'm not currently raising my rates on the people that rent from me either. So right now, I'm not doing that because right now, for me, I see the challenge that's out there for a lot of people. And for a lot of people, just paying $5 extra, $10 extra, it's not even a big deal for them. But I'm not doing it. And I have my own reasons for that I will not be sharing. But they are personal reasons, along with the personal connections I have with my clients, and then certainly with the trainers that are training out of my facility. And I do want to respect them and their ability to run their business. And this is a challenging time for people right now. So even more so, lack of consideration currently of raising rates for the people who rent space from me so that they can train their clients. I'm not doing it right now. And I keep saying right now, you may notice. Why is that? Because I'm going to. I'm going to at some point, sooner or later, those rates are going to go up because that's just how it goes. That's just how it goes. I've even had clients at some point that have said, Rick, you haven't raised your rates for me in like 5 years, so I'm going to pay you more. And I'm like, oh my goodness, very considerate of you. Most people aren't going to do that. So with that being said, sometimes they need to be prompted, and it's probably not going to affect them too much. Be considerate, be friendly, create value. All right. I want to thank my producer, Eric, for bringing this idea and this concept up. I want to say shout out to you if you found this episode helpful. Like, subscribe, share with other fitness folks, leave a comment and review. I'd appreciate that as well. It helps me understand some of the stuff that's out there. And then I can understand a little bit more about what you want to hear when you reach out to me. You can do that on Instagram, where I'm most active. You can DM me at dr.rickrichey, or you can send me an email at rick.richey@nasm.org. This has been the NASM-CPT Podcast.